This is the book of Revelation, chapter 17, verse 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honor to our apostles, our elder bishops, a great millstone, and well, peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, pushing this true doctrine across the four winds of the earth in all truth and sincerity. I'm Lamar Ariyah from the Mississippi Camp. Lord willing, this be an edifying lesson. All right, again, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. And this beast is talking about America. Okay? And the 10 horns are those vassal states, and other countries are going to turn on this whore. The allies are going to turn on the whore because America has been a bully, a treaty breaker, a liar, and a consumer, man. When I say consumer, they will go to other countries and consume all the resources, hoard them to themselves. And now we're at that time where other countries have begun to realize that this devil has no interest in being a true ally, a help to the country, or anything of that nature. They're being selfish as always and only considering America, or should we say the elites, benefits by way of bullying, hoarding, and taking resources from these countries. And now the tables are turning, as we can see with the war between America, the small hats, going up against Iran. Okay, and it's not turning out the way they expected. And their allies, primarily speaking of NATO, is not willing to help them. Because America jumped into this war, 2 feet deep without consulting or having any kind of, counsel with these other countries they expected help from before they made this move, man. Because they thought it was going to be a power move like they did in Venezuela. These other countries in the past, they thought it was going to be a power move that was going to be swift. But it turns out that Iran been preparing for these devils for 40 plus years because they knew it was coming. And America getting their asses handed to them. All right, so I'm going to play a couple of little short clips, and I'm going to get another scripture, and I'm going to close it out, and the Lord willing is edified.
All of the NATO allies agreed with us, but they don't want to, despite the fact that we help them so much, we have thousands of soldiers in different countries all over the world, and they don't want to help us, which is amazing. Amazing. And I didn't do a full court press because I think if I did, they probably would be. But we don't need help. We've that war has been long prosecuted as far as I'm concerned, almost from day one. We knocked out many of these things. We knocked out the Navy essentially in a couple of days. But I was surprised to see that NATO, while they agreed that it was a very important thing to do, they agree fully. Nobody said, oh, you shouldn't do it. I think NATO's making a very foolish mistake. And I've long said that, I wonder whether or not NATO would ever be there for us. So this was a great test because we don't need them, but they should have been there.
NATO just told Trump no, and he's now threatening the entire alliance. The U.S.-Iran war hits day 17. Trump demanded 7 NATO nations send warships to support military operations. None have committed. Germany publicly declared it's not NATO's war. Trump warned allies face a very bad future if they don't act. Back home, 59% of Americans now oppose the conflict, including voices inside Trump's own base questioning how this fits America first.
They want to negotiate. They want to negotiate badly. I don't think they're ready. Just on what I'm hearing, they want to negotiate badly, as they should.
Has Iran asked for a ceasefire?
No, we never asked for a ceasefire, and we have never asked even for negotiation.
Are you afraid of a U.S. invasion in your country?
No, we are waiting for them.
You were waiting for the U.S. military to invade, the ground troops?
Yes.
Seems like President Donald Trump is wrong about Iran begging for mercy. And that's what this story is really about, because Dropside News has done some reporting on where Iranians are at when it comes to this war, and it seems to conflict considerably with narratives coming from the Trump administration. So before we get to the details, Cenk,
on the war with Iran, the Defense Department today revealing the number of U.S. troops wounded has now increased since the war began 17 days ago. They now say 200 U.S. troops have been wounded, 10 with serious injuries. Most have returned to duty. President Trump today lashing out at allies for refusing to help the U.S. get oil from the region as gas prices right here continue to rise. Eyewitness News anchor Sandra Bookman with more on what the president is asking for. Sandra?
Mike, as you know, roughly 1/5 of the world's oil supply is transported through the Strait of Hormuz, which is now essentially shut down. That is the big reason oil and gas prices are surging. President Trump is now calling on NATO allies to help defend the strait. The response so far, not encouraging. New videos released today by CENTCOM show before and after shots of blast sites in Iran as the U.S.-Israeli bombardment continues.
Here you see a photo from March 1st of a naval drone storage facility located near the Strait of Hormuz. This is the same location, 8 days later, completely destroyed.
President Trump, meanwhile, intensifying pressure on NATO countries to help protect the critical Strait of Hormuz. Mr. Trump telling the Financial Times, quote, "If there's no response or if it's a negative response, I think it will be very bad for the future of NATO. Attacks on ships in the critical waterway are effectively choking off some 20% of the world's oil supply."
For 40 years, we're protecting you, and you don't want to get involved in something that is very minor. Very few shots going to be taken because they don't have many shots left.
But those countries don't appear eager. Australia and Japan have already refused the president's request. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer with this message after speaking with Mr. Trump.
We will not be drawn into the wider war.
And the German defense minister with a harsher message.
We have a situation which we did not provoke, which we don't cause at all.
The United States now increasing deployments to the region. More than 2,000 U.S. Marines headed there as an amphibious attack group capable of conducting ground operations. The president has said he is not ruling out U.S. boots on the ground. The Trump administration insists that higher oil and gas prices will be temporary. Department of Energy Secretary Chris Wright says there's a good chance they will be normal by summer. Less clear is a timeline for the war itself as the conflict enters its third week. President Trump said recently it will end when, quote, he feels it in his bones.
So as you can see, these allies of America are no longer or not willing to come to the aid of Trump because they didn't want this war in the first place. And they know that eventually, you know, that America is going to continue to weaken, and they know eventually that Russia's going to step in, China's going to step in, you know, and other nations are going to continue to leave and turn against the horde because of their hatred. You know, these other countries haven't forgotten about the things that America has done, where they would just come in and start taking their resources, bringing in their democracy, you know, dropping bombs on them. Everything that America has done has not been forgotten. And these other countries are ready to get their lick back. Okay? So these are some beautiful times we're in. Prophecy is being fulfilled, man. And we're witnessing the hatred the other countries are continually having towards the whore, even his allies. Okay, Trump wants to be able to either control or navigate through the Strait of Hormuz, right? But you still got the Sunnis out there just waiting on the word. Because listen to a video the day before yesterday or something like that, where pretty much Russia and China told Iran just, tell them to hold tight. Don't make no moves yet. So it's still a lot going to happen. And it's still going to be a lot of hatred continue to grow and infuse towards America. And eventually, Ezekiel the 38th chapter gonna go in full effect, man. But we know it still got to be, Jacob trouble got to come to its fullness, okay, its entirety. The MOTB got to be implemented, and World War III will combust and be in full effect as well. Then Yahweh shall return, and then the kingdom of heaven is going to be restored because these devils are going to be taken down. This rulership is going to be taken down. But we're witnessing Yahweh Hashem Yahushua putting all the pieces in place, okay, to finally make that final play, okay, that checkmate. So this is the book of Daniel, chapter 7, starting at verse 19. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the other exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were iron and his nails of brass, which devoured, break in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet, and of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the others which came up, and there whom thee fell, even of the horn that had eyes and a mouth and spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. And that's the point, And now America look is not more stout than his fellows, man. That stout look is no more. Okay? Trump got this pride continually, but the other nations are seeing through it. Okay? He can boast and say that, he don't need nobody. Well, if you didn't need him, you wouldn't be asking. But see, he's gonna put on that persona, that lie, as if it's all good, but it's all bad. Okay? It's all bad. And it's only gonna get worse, man. And people in America, across the globe, what Americans are gonna suffer at the pump, at the grocery stores, at the particular bills you got to pay, because everything is finna start spiking, man, when it comes to these prices. And shrinkflation is going to continue too. You're going to have to pay more for less. But this is what happens when the wicked bears rule. Matter of fact, I'll go with that. End with that. Okay, this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 29, verse 2. When the righteous are in authority, and the righteous would be Yahweh Shai and his governing body, okay, are in authority, the people rejoice. And that's not what's going on right now. Yahweh Shai has not returned. He has not set up his kingdom. So therefore, there is no rejoicing. But when the wicked beareth rule, and who's the wicked? Esau, Edom, okay, the self-proclaimed white people, the Edomites of the Bible, okay, who the earth was given into pertaining to Job 9 and 24, right? When the wicked beareth rule, because the earth was given into the hand of the wicked, the people mourn. And the people are mourning now. Nobody's rejoicing. Everybody's in a sorrowful, mournful, wailing state, you know what I'm saying? Nobody is at ease because the wickedness of this earth is putting people in straits. People don't know where their next meal coming from. People don't know how they're going to pay their next bill. People don't know, how they're going to, sustain themselves because everything is being, used as a weapon, man. Because they want this monetary system collapse. They want people to lose it and be complete chaos so they can bring forth their agenda. Problem, reaction, solution. And that solution is going to be the MOTB. Okay? But nevertheless, this devil stout look, okay, it's no longer a threat. People are not, the other countries, the other nations are not threatened by the stout look of this fellow, okay? And Iran has been the highlight of why a lot of these countries are not at fear like they was. Because America's biggest thing was fear, man. Their fear tactics by their way of their army, the military, they pull up in your country, make a deal with you to protect you, but just let them set up shop, set up a military base, whatever. And who was gonna tell America no, man? We talking about a country that dropped bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But now, this present time, what's that, Joel 3, these other countries are breeding their plowshares into spears, and they're pruning hooks into spears, and their plowshares into swords. And the weak is saying they're strong, roughly paraphrasing. So we're watching prophecy unfold real time. Hey, the Lord is making good on his word. Hey, we're just going to continue to fight, endure, and wait for the Lord to wrap it up, man. So Lord willing, this was an edifying lesson. I want to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honor to apostles, our elder bishops, a great millstone and Ruel. Peace and salutation to the hopeful elect. Shalom.